Week 18 is upon us, which means the playoffs have started a week early for 11 teams. Now, we're going to run through a few scenarios real quick and then get to the predictions. For the Jaguars, Bills, Colts, Texans, Packers, and Buccaneers, if they win, they're in the playoffs. Then there are a few other teams which need some help. The Steelers need some help, the Saints need some help, the Falcons need some help, and the Minnesota Vikings need a lot of help to make the playoffs. We're going to run through those with our picks this week. Starting things off, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore on Saturday night. And normally I'd say the Ravens dog walk the Steelers. Since they got that 1 seed locked up, I think they rest their starters, which normally easy Pittsburgh win. But when you got Tyler Huntley, when you got phenomenal backups, phenomenal depth all over your defense and offense, suddenly this game's going to be a lot more competitive than the Steelers would like. Ultimately, I think Pittsburgh does win this game, but I could see it coming down from the wire. I don't think Pittsburgh's simply going to roll into Baltimore and dog walk some backups.
I don't think that's exactly going to happen either, but I mean, Tyler Huntley's going to be starting Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. So he may...
More interceptions and touchdowns as Pro Bowl year, by the way.
He may have a masterful performance, but that Ravens, they're not really motivated to win. And the Bills, they're a real threat to them in the playoffs. And if the Bills lose, the Steelers winning keeps the Bills out of the playoffs. So I think the Ravens, they're not going to be that motivated.
I don't think they want to let their division rival in, though. That's the thing.
I think they'd rather play the Steelers and Mason Rudolph in the playoffs than they'd play the Bills in the playoffs
I think they just hate the Steelers, but...
And I don't think the Steelers make it out of the wild card round.
There are a lot of teams which might not make it out of the wild card. Anyway,
I think the Steelers are winning that one.
There you go.
Next up, Texans heading to Indianapolis, and the Texans looked revitalized last week with C.J. Stroud getting back healthy, and now they're playing the Colts, who did also get Michael Pittman back this week. They are playing for a playoff spot. I think it's going to be a close game. I think we're going to see two teams that are desperate for a playoff spot. We didn't expect either team to really be here. Maybe we expected the Colts to be here a little bit. Certainly not the Texans prior to the season.
Did not expect Anthony Richardson to get the Colts to the playoffs at the start of the year. I'll be 100% honest with that. I thought the Colts would have 5 wins, but...
Anyway, Texans a little bit more unbelievable, and I think prior to the season, and I think they are going to win this game. C.J. Stroud has been balling. I know they have a few injuries on that offense, but Devin Singletary, those running backs, even they have been good this year, and it seems like the defense has improved slightly every single week, so I think the Texans will win.
And the defense has improved because Will Anderson is coming on to his own as a pass rusher. He should win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been much better down the stretch than Carter. I'm going to give this one to the Colts just because I think they're a more complete team. I think that injury to Tank Dell is going to hinder the passing attack against a decent-ish Colts defense. I think the depth the Colts have at wide receiver with so many people to throw to, and Jonathan Taylor on the ground is going to be too much for the Houston defense. First big game, though, Tampa Bay taking on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. If Tampa Bay wins, they're in. If the Panthers somehow pull off the upset, the 2-14 Panthers, then the playoffs get a lot more interesting for a lot more people. Personally, I am skeptical about the Panthers' ability to stop the Buccaneers' offense, and I'm even more skeptical about the Panthers' offensive ability to perform. Give me Tampa Bay in this one. They're going to the playoffs.
Baker is walking into Carolina with a vengeance. He had to suffer through being a part of that Panthers organization last season, so there's no way he's letting a 2-win Panthers team beat him. The Buccaneers are winning. Cleveland headed to Cincinnati. Joe Flacco, he's been on a great run. 10 touchdowns through 6 games. If he continued this pace through a 17-game season, he'd have over 40 touchdowns, but we won't talk about the interception numbers. The Bengals, Browning has been solid this year. I think they've kind of exceeded expectations from what we saw at the beginning of the season through those first 4 or 5 games when they looked like a complete mess. When Burrow was healthy, now with Browning, I think the Browns will win. Their defense is on fire. Flacco and that offense, that running game is on fire. The Browns will win.
Yeah, the Bengals really have nothing but pride to play for, and there is not much pride in the city of Cincinnati. Give me the Browns in this one. Now we've got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions. And shockingly to some, the Minnesota Vikings are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. If they win this week in Detroit, they'll get all the way up to an 11% chance to make it. And I wrote down the scenarios which need to happen for the Vikings to make it. They've obviously got to win. Then the Packers have got to lose. The Seahawks have got to lose to the Arizona Cardinals. And then are the Buccaneers, who are playing the Panthers, so they're not losing, have got to lose. Or the Saints have to lose. One of those two teams has to lose. It's probably not going to happen. particularly because the Detroit Lions are going to dog walk the Minnesota Vikings. That Brad Allen officiating call, I love Brad Allen, but dear God, man, you set up the Minnesota Vikings so bad. The Lions are going to come out and boat race the Vikings. They are going to be on fire. They're playing for pride. They're playing for a higher seed, and they're playing to prove, oh man, we got screwed last week. We're not going to get screwed again. Give me Detroit in this one. Vikings eliminated from the playoffs.
Well, it seems like the Vikings are starting a different quarterback every single quarter, so I doubt they even have a chance at beating the Lions, especially given the Lions' added motivation like you just said.
Yeah, fun times in Minnesota.
Jets headed to New England, and there's rumors that Bill Belichick is going to be out of the building next season. And Bill Belichick, he strikes me as a man that is vengeful. If he's truly going to be out of the building next season, there is no way he's leaving the Patriots with a parting gift of a loss to improve their draft stock. The Patriots are going to beat the Jets. He's going to make their draft stock worse, make it potentially harder for them to get a quarterback, and the Patriots are going to win.
Yeah, the Jets just do not beat the Patriots in the Belichick era, unless, of course, it's in the playoffs. Give me the Patriots in this one. I don't care if they got less wins. I don't care if the Jets have a good defense. They're the better team. Atlanta Falcons headed on to take the New Orleans Saints on in the Superdome. And if the Falcons win, Saints lose, the Falcons have a decent shot making the playoffs. If the Saints win, conceivably, even if the Panthers somehow manage to, or somehow lose to the Bucs, they could find themselves in a wild card. But the Falcons are a disaster. Arthur Smith's on his way out. Their offense is a wreck. Taylor Heineke is not the answer. Desmond Ridder was not given a fair shot. And I just think the Saints, more complete team, got a much more experienced quarterback. Coaching staff has some areas of weakness, but I still think they're better than whatever Atlanta's got. And of course, that Saints defense, we talk about every week, is better than we actually see statistically. Give me the Saints at home with this one, eliminating the Falcons from the playoffs.
Saints being at home certainly helps their situation. I've been a hater of Arthur Smith. Hey, Arthur Smith has a lot of haters. I don't expect the Falcons to clutch up and beat the Saints this week. Jacksonville headed to Tennessee. Will Trevor Lawrence, with about 12 different injuries, play this week? I don't know if that's going to happen. He's playing with an injury to his throwing shoulder. Christian Kirk has a chance of playing this week. That would be big for them. And the Titans, if it weren't for Mike Vrabel, I think they would be the worst team in the NFL. Their offense, with the injuries that have happened, with how bad that offensive line is just not good. The defense is worse than we've seen it be in previous years. So even if Trevor Lawrence is out, I think C.J. Beathard's going to walk into Tennessee and win that game.
Yeah, I would be shocked if the Titans managed to win this one. It would take the Derrick Henry masterclass I've been talking about for the past month, which just hasn't taken place yet, a crispy 200 on the ground. Doubt it'll happen, but if the Titans did beat the Jaguars, that will be pretty funny. Seattle Seahawks going to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals, and I didn't think this game was going to be competitive around this time last week. Then the Cardinals went and scored 35 points on the Eagles. Defense held them to 34, won the game. So now I'm a bit intrigued. The Cardinals are not playing for draft picks. They're playing for pride. They're playing to build a culture. And they may be coming for the Seahawks. I'd be a little bit worried if I was out with a banged up Geno Smith with a terrible offensive line. There's some causes for concern here. Ultimately, the Seahawks triumph, but this game is going to be a lot closer than some people might think looking at the records. I got Seahawks winning on the road, but that building in Arizona can get loud, and that Cardinals offense can get going. I'm going to pick the upset. The Cardinals are winning this game. They are going to eliminate the Seahawks from the playoffs. Kyler Murray still has that dog in him. He is going to solidify himself as the Cardinals franchise quarterback.
The Cardinals coaching staff has really impressed me this season with what they've done with not the most talent in the NFL by a wide margin, but the Seahawks, they're coming off a tough loss. Their offense has just gotten back into the swing of things right when Geno Smith got injured. It was right when JSN was getting more integrated in the offense. All three receivers were working together better. Now, I don't know if Kenneth Walker's playing this week, which would also greatly hurt their chances. But now JSN's more involved in the offense. They're utilizing Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. They're all playing off each other better. And with a chance to guarantee their spot in the playoffs, I think they win this week. Bears headed to Green Bay. They have the ability to play spoiler to the Packers making the playoffs.
We saw it last year.
And that is exactly what is going to happen. Justin Fields, whether it's with the Bears, whether it's with another team, he is playing for a new contract. If he wants to start again in the NFL, this last week I think will play a pivotal role in his ability to make that happen. I don't know if the Bears are going to trade him to another team or if they're going to decide to keep him, but he needs to have a big performance in this game. I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to kick the Packers out of the playoffs, and he's going to maybe make the Bears give a second thought to whether or not they should draft Caleb, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix at this point.
Here's the problem, though. Caleb Williams should not replace Justin Fields. Justin Fields has been playing great against horrible defenses, and this week's going to be no exception. The Packers defense made Bryce Young look like he had a supporting cast around him. They're that bad. I think we're going to see that again this week. They're going to let Justin Fields cook him a little bit, and ultimately Jordan Love's going to do enough through the air to keep them ahead of the Bears offensively. I think the Packers do win and make the playoffs, but at the same time, if Justin Fields tricks the Bears once again into giving him another season, because this season was supposed to be the other season. We were supposed to know by the end of this year if Justin Fields was the franchise guy or not. If he wasn't, we're drafting a replacement. If he was, we're keeping him. And we still don't know. And I don't think a game where they're eliminated from the playoffs and have no motivation besides to play spoiler is really going to tell us one thing or the other. Give me the Packers in this one. High-scoring game. Got a lot of respect for their offense. On to a game which doesn't matter. Denver taking on the Raiders. Who cares? Russell Wilson's bench. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Give me the Raiders in this one. Let me hear it for Aiden O'Connell. Woo.
I think that's also going to happen. No one's looking forward to watching that game. I think Raiders, Antonio Pierce, they put another feather in Antonio Pierce's cap in an effort for him to keep the job next year. Chiefs headed to LA. They're playing the Chargers, and I don't think they're probably going to be resting a lot of their starters. Even if they start the game, it's not a game they really need to win. The win last week guaranteed them the playoffs, and there's not much movement that can happen in the seeding at this point in the process. So, Easton Stick, that Chiefs defense, I don't know if they're going to move the ball at all, even with backups on the field. I still think the Chiefs will win.
I think the Chiefs are sending their starters out for at least a little bit. They may pull them earlier than they would normally, but I think they're still going to see Mahomes, Kelsey, and whatnot. Maybe not Kelsey, he's so out of shape now. Yeah, the Chiefs are sending their starters out, and they are going to cook the lowly Chargers. What do you expect? 49ers taking on the Rams. Two playoff teams in the NFC. I was shocked by that. It'd be a hard-fought battle for the Rams not to make it. In fact, they may have already statistically locked themselves in. 49ers are winning this one. Not much.
Carson Wentz is starting this week.
Good for Carson Wentz.
Because they're either the 6th seed or the 7th seed, I believe.
It really does not matter in the grand scheme of things, because those 2 and 3 seeds in the NFC are a lot worse than we thought they'd be. Give me the 49ers in this one. They're deeper. They're better. Their offensive line, with the exception of Trent Williams, is basically backups anyway, so what do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, a few of these games we're not going to see the exciting matchup that we originally thought we'd see earlier in the season, but with Carson Wentz...
I mean, hold on, did we really expect a Rams-49ers game to be a super competitive game?
No, we didn't, you're right. You are right. You are right. We didn't expect it.
But I thought the Rams were going to stink this year. We were wrong about that, but...
But about halfway through the year, we might have expected the game to be a little bit closer with how they've been playing, but now it doesn't matter for either team, so I think the 49ers win. It doesn't matter. It would be exciting to see if the Rams play the Lions in the playoffs, but it'll just matter if they win or lose this game. Philadelphia headed to the Giants. The Eagles have been losing. All they've been doing is losing over the last few weeks.
Momentum shift
And the Giants, they're playing for nothing. It doesn't matter. The only thing they can do is ruin their draft stock, make it less likely they're able to draft a quarterback to replace...
I'm cheering real hard for the Giants this week.
I don't know what I'm cheering for. I don't know if I'm cheering for draft stock. I don't know if I'm cheering for the Eagles to suffer another loss and blow to their ego. But what I think is going to happen with the way the Giants have played over the past few weeks, they almost beat the Eagles the first time they played them this year, just 2 weeks ago, and they're going to beat them this time. They're at home. Brian Dable's going to have that offense motivated. Tyrod Taylor's going to go out there. They're going to get the ball moving. There's not going to be a tactical loss this week. I think they're going to win.
It's not going to be a tactical loss. I hope there's not a tactical loss. I hope the Giants play themselves right out of drafting a quarterback and right out of drafting one of those top illustrious edge rushers or tackles. I got a good feeling about the New York Giants. Dallas taking on Washington. The Sam Howell era has come to an end in dramatic fashion. Cowboys, I think they kind of salt the earth in this one. This game means nothing. This is not a competitive game. Really, the last game of the week is what I want to talk about. So, Tristan, Sunday Night Football, who we got?
Buffalo headed to Miami. Whoever loses this game, I'm sure we are going to hear a lot of hate in the media. There might be some hate coming from us if Josh Allen loses, if Tua loses. Tua, if you're the Dolphins, you want to keep the Bills out of the playoffs. You do not want to see them again. They are dangerous because of Josh Allen. That defense has improved since all the injuries they suffered earlier in the season. Nobody wants to play the Bills in the playoffs.
The AFC is rooting for the Miami Dolphins on this one.
I agree with Isaiah on this one. No one wants to play them. And the Dolphins, you have something to prove a little bit. You've had injuries on that offensive side of the ball. You haven't played well against above 500 teams this year. If you beat the Bills and kick them out of the playoffs, you don't have to play them. You build more confidence heading into the playoffs, and I think it maybe builds some momentum in order to keep winning. So what I think is going to happen, I think the Bills are going to win off the strength of Josh Allen, and it's the biggest game of the year so far besides the Ravens-49ers game.
We're going to learn a lot this week. I believe that the Dolphins were tactically resting Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle. They might have been able to go against Baltimore. Maybe not 100%, but 95% last week. And the Dolphins say, we're going to wait a week. We are going to win the playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins are in no matter what, but they do have the chance to knock out the Bills. Ultimately, we'll know before this game even happens if it matters or not, because the first game of Saturday is the Ravens facing off against the Steelers. If that game goes the way we think it's going to and the Steelers win, Bills need to win or they are out of the playoffs. I think Buffalo's got this one. I have enough faith in Josh Allen. I saw what he's done in the playoffs in the past. I saw what he did to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I've seen what he's done this year. He can win it by himself if he has to. He's relied more on his running game ever this year than he has any year in the past. But I think when he has to take over, when he has to be the guy in nice, warm, non-snowy Miami, he will have the opportunity and he will succeed at that opportunity. Give me the Bills in this one thanks to a little Josh Allen masterclass. Anyway, that's how we think Week 18 is going to go. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. If you're still here, be sure to like, subscribe, share the video. Could probably edit that in towards the start of the video to boost the engagement and optics. But we'll see you for the playoffs.